Are you getting ready to sell your house? Don't list it yet. In this video, we're breaking down the 7 essential repairs that you really need to tackle to boost your home's value and attract buyers fast. Watch this so you actually know what fixes to make that sale or break that sale. Number 1 is the roof. One of the first things an inspector is going to notice is the roof. And if that inspection report shows wet spots or weak areas, buyers are likely to want a lower price or ask you to fix it before they buy. So even if it's not actively leaking, the age of the roof, it really matters a lot. Because if it's old, it could be a warning sign to buyers. And if your roof is made of asphalt shingles that are 15 years or older, buyers are probably going to mention this. They're going to look for missing pieces of gutters and shingles that are bent and broken and other signs that the roof might not last that much longer. So when your attic does not have a good airflow, it also can cause problems with the roof. The ventilation, okay? So if you don't have ventilation or the vents are blocked and there's not enough vents, heat and wet air can get trapped in there, and that damages the shingles from the underside and can cause mold to grow. So if your attic is not getting enough air, your roof isn't going to last as long either. And buyers are going to notice this stuff. If you've got buckles on the roof, they're going to notice it. So when they do, if they're an experienced buyer, they're probably going to ask for that lower price or not even buy that house at all. Look, if your roof is getting old, you don't want to wait for buyers to offer very low prices. So get a professional to look at it before you list that house. And if you need a new roof, get quotes for that replacement. This is going to give you more control because you can decide if you want to make an offer to the buyer, give them money to fix it, or if you want to replace it before anyone even mentions this. And also don't forget the gutters, because if they're full of leaves and they're not slanted correctly, they don't just look bad. They can cause water problems that will actually damage the foundation of your house. And experienced buyers who see water that's overflowing near the base of the house, they're going to worry about that structure. And cleaning and fixing the gutters, it's a simple thing. It's easy to do, and it can stop bigger problems later on. Which leads us to number 2. Buyers notice doors and windows. They're in their face, right? Windows and doors tell buyer a lot about how well you've actually taken care of that house. And these are important signs on how much the home has been maintained. So if you can see water or fog between the glass of double pane windows, that means the seal is broken. The gas that keeps your home energy efficient, it's gone. And buyers actually will see this. You don't have to replace every window in the house. You can fix these pretty easily. Just get a glass repair shop. Fixing the ones that are the most obvious, it's going to make a huge difference on how the house looks and feels. And doors are another thing that people often forget about because the handles are loose, the locks don't work properly, or the doors get stuck while closing. And all this stuff makes buyers wonder about what else is going on. Now, especially at the front door, it's really super important here because it's the first thing that people see when they enter the house. So pay attention to doors and windows if they're hard to open or close, because sometimes it's just the weather or the old paint. But buyers, they start assuming, oh my gosh, it's even worse. It's the foundation. It's the this, the that, the other. So make sure everything works smoothly when you list your house. And finally, check the strips around the doors and the windows that they keep the air out. Because if you feel cold air coming in or you see gaps, replace that stuff. If your home has a single pane window or outdated aluminum frames, it's probably a good idea to get new energy efficient ones. They look better and they also keep the house warm or cool, which is a strong selling point to both hot and cold climates. And you can get quotes for new windows and just see if it's worth that cost of even renovating that. And number 3 is, this is important guys, plumbing and electrical. Now, plumbing and electrical are the top 2 issues that are the biggest red flags that come up for buyers, and they come up on inspection reports all the time. So let's start with electrical repairs. So if your home has a Federal Pacific or a Zinco electric panel, that's a red flag. The inspector will more than likely flag them for replacement. And knob and tube wiring, you can forget about that. I did a previous video on that, and if you need to replace it, do it because it's a real problem. In fact, insurance companies are now refusing to cover homes with it. So also check out your outlets. Now, if they're not grounded, or if you don't have a GFI outlet in the kitchen, a bathroom, anywhere there's water, that's a problem. It'll come up on an inspection report and certainly doesn't meet code. Now make sure your electrical box is not overloaded and doesn't have wires that are connecting in a way that's not safe. If it's loose, sometimes inspectors will definitely notice this kind of stuff. Now for plumbing, check your water heater. If it's more than 10 or 12 years old, you're probably keeping your fingers crossed, man, I hope this thing holds. But buyers are going to ask you to put in a new one. It happens every single day. So you need to look for leaks, rust, or damage to make sure it's actually strapped down. Also is another thing, make sure it doesn't move because that's a requirement in the codes. You also want to fix any noticeable leaks anywhere you see in the house. Which leads us to the number 4 thing is the HVAC system. Now, most systems, they'll last between 10, 15, 20 years maybe even. But if yours is still running, and if it's old, buyers are going to think twice about having to replace that thing soon. So when they make an offer, they're going to consider that replacement cost too, and stuff is not as cheap as it once was. So buyers also care about how efficient that system is. So if your system has a low SEER rating, that means it's not very energy efficient. You're looking for a higher number on the SEERs. It's another thing that buyers see as a negative, so you want to make sure that you've got the best opportunity to sell your home. And one of the easiest and cheapest things to do is the air filter, guys. Make sure that you change those out. And also check your thermostat. And if it's old, consider putting a new one in. And number 5 is grading and drainage. You might not think about the slope of ground around your house when you're selling, but believe me, buyers are going to notice this. This is not just about curb appeal, guys. It's about keeping the foundation of the house itself safe. So if the ground slopes towards your house instead of away from it, water can collect around that foundation. And guess what? Over time, you're going to see cracks, leaks, and serious problems with that structure of the house. So when a buyer sees this, bing, 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 red flag, because fixing the foundation, it costs a lot of money. Now, the first thing to do is to check your gutters, because if they're clean, the downspouts are working, check all that stuff. If your downspouts drop water right next to the foundation, that's a problem. It should be going away. They should extend at least 4 to 6 feet away from the house. And this stops water from soaking into the soil near the foundation. Now, if you already have water problems, don't wait for a buyer to find them. Walk around your yard after a hard rain and see where the water goes. If it collects near the house, you need to fix that stuff. You need to fix that slope of the ground. Now, sometimes you can just add soil. It's pretty simple. Maybe you put sod over top of it, and you make that ground slope away from the house. You can also add extensions to your downspouts so it gets further out. Now, this small fix, compared to fixing a foundation problem or losing a buyer who's serious, it's easy, right? You don't want to hide a problem with new mulch, though. Look, it doesn't fix the underlying drainage issue. So take care of the water flow, that problem, before you list your house. That way buyers will have one less reason to worry and one more reason to give you top dollar. And number 6 is that foundation problem. I said foundation issues are one of the biggest deal breakers for buyers. They think money, right? Anything big money. The problem is not all cracks mean serious damage. But buyers don't know that. They see a crack and they assume, oh my gosh, it's terrible, it's the end. And that's why, as a seller, you need to understand what's normal and what's a warning sign before you list that house. Look, small, straight up and down cracks in the concrete, usually not that serious. But if you see cracks that go sideways, or cracks that look like stairs in the brick walls, or cracks that are wider than an inch, that could mean there's problems with the structure. Now, walls that are bending inward or bowed, that's an even bigger worry. This can mean pressure from the ground is moving water up and around that foundation. Look, foundation problems don't always show up in obvious places. Sometimes it's the doors or the windows suddenly become hard to open or close. Or let's say the floor feels got a little slip to it now. Your foundation could be shifting and settling. These are signs that buyers and inspectors, they're going to catch immediately. So if you think there might be a problem with the foundation, get a structural engineer to go out and look at it before you list your house. Don't second guess this. Don't even fill in the cracks just to hide them, because that makes things even worse. Then they're going to think, oh my gosh, something really is going on here. If you have already a foundation repairs that are done, just have those papers ready. And number 7 is drywall and paint. This is a classic one, guys. Paint the walls with a neutral color so that your home looks new, right? But the important thing is to get the walls ready to paint, right? Just don't slap the paint on there though. If you have water stains, don't just paint over them, because more than likely it's going to just show through the paint. You need a special primer that actually blocks the stains first. So if the walls have bumps and dents or uneven spots and the paint will not hide them, take time to smooth those out, mud it out, sand down those shiny spots. Clean the walls before you start painting. If you paint quickly over damaged walls, it's going to make it look worse, and people are going to go, oh my gosh, what's wrong with that wall? Buyers might wonder what else you're trying to hide, right? Nail pops, small holes. This is the stuff that should be fixed properly. So you want to push the nail back in, you want to fill that hole, you want to, if it's a drill that screw back in, make it smooth. Cracks need to have tape over them before you mud them, right? Don't just use caulk, because if you do, the cracks might open up after a few days, and guess what? Then you got that problem. So the question I have for you is, are you getting ready to list your house? Let me know in the comments. And second question I have is, did you find any of this helpful? I sure hope you did, because I'm making these videos for you. So here on this channel, I hope you subscribed. There's more videos that are super helpful in this channel. And if you're thinking about buying or selling a house, I'm in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. My team is here to help you. Or anywhere else in the United States, my team is here to help you as well. We can help you. We can hook you up with that local real estate expert. Just pick up the phone, give us a call, 843-839-9870. We can hook you up to help you find that hidden gem and to avoid the pitfalls that are costly. I'm Jerry with Jerry Pinkas Real Estate Experts. As I said, we've helped thousands and thousands of people successfully move. We want to make sure that you're not getting average, but you're getting way above average. So until next time, stay happy, stay educated, and we'll talk to you soon. Take care, guys.